When he first heard Jay's story of the crime, Adnan didn't say, well, it didn't happen like that, or I didn't mean for it to happen like that. He said, it didn't happen. None of this is true at all. He says he had nothing to do with Hay's murder, and he doesn't know who did. Hay was Adnan's first serious relationship with a girl. He says he loved her in the way of high school love, but then also in the way of high school got over her. So that when they broke up for good, sometime before Christmas break of senior year, he says he was sad for sure, but not obsessed or anything.
I just sometimes wish they could look into my brain and see how I really felt about her. And no matter what else someone would say, they would see, man, this guy had no ill will towards it. Whatever the motivation is to kill someone, it didn't exist in me. You know what I mean? No one can ever say why. People can say why. Oh, man, he was mad, this, that, or the other, but no one can ever come with any type of proof or anecdote or anything to ever say that I was ever mad at her, that I was ever angry with her, that I ever threatened her. You know, that's the only thing I can really hold on to. That is my only firm handhold in this whole thing is that no one's ever been able to prove it. No one ever has been able to provide any shred of evidence that it had anything but friendship towards her, love and respect for her. That's at the end of the day, man. The only thing I can ever say is, man, I had no reason to kill her.
He's adamant about this. You can hear it, right? He's staunch. The problem is, when you ask Adnan to go back and tell his version of what happened that day, to refute Jay's story, everything becomes a lot mushier. Yes, he hung out with Jay on the 13th, both during and after school, but he doesn't remember exactly where they went or what they did or what time it was. Here's what he's got. January 13th unfolded like any other day, a normal, mostly uneventful day. He says there are a couple of things that do stand out, though. That day was Stephanie's birthday. Stephanie was one of Adnan's best friends and also Jay's girlfriend. Adnan had gotten Stephanie a birthday present, a stuffed reindeer, which he'd given to her in second period, Miss Efron's English class.
And it occurred to me that day that I was going to ask her boyfriend, Jay, did he get her a gift? So sometime during the day, before noon.
Wait, Adnan, just hold up for a second. Why?
Sure.
Why did you care whether Jay got Stephanie a present? What's it to you?
Well, Stephanie was a very close friend of mine, as I mentioned, and it was just, I just kind of wanted to make sure that she also got a gift from him. You know, she had mentioned to me that she was looking forward to getting a gift from him. She mentioned she was really happy to get the gift that I gave her. So it just, as I would with any friend, I just kind of, went to check on that. I kind of had a feeling that maybe he didn't get her a gift. And I had free periods during school, so it wasn't it was not abnormal for me to leave school to go do something and then come back. So I went to his house, and I asked him, did you happen to get a present for Stephanie? He said no. So I said, if you want to, you can drop me back off to school. You can borrow my car, and you can go to the mall, get her a gift or whatever, and just come pick me up after track practice that day.
So then what happened?
Well, then when school was over, I would have went to the library. I know that I usually check, I didn't usually check, but if I was going to check my email, it would be using the library computer. Sometimes I would go there because track practice didn't start until around maybe 3 o'clock or 3:30ish. So it didn't start right after school. So there was a period of time of almost like an hour and some change. That was kind of free time.
This hour and change after school, this is the crucial window. This is the time when the state says Hay was killed. School got out at 2:15. People remember seeing her after her last class, heading to her car. According to Jay's story and the cell phone records, she was dead by 2:36 p.m. So sometime in those 21 minutes, between 2:15 and 2:36, she was strangled. So that's obviously the same window Adnan needed to account for. To quote Adnan, my case lived and died in those 21 minutes. So where does Adnan say he was? Well, maybe the library, but nobody testified to that at trial. Then to track practice. He does remember being at track one day when it was snowing, which might have been that day. The coach testified that Adnan probably was there, but he can't be 100% sure because, as a rule, he didn't take attendance. After school is when his memories become nonspecific. Usually we did this, or we probably would have done that.
Probably track practice would have ended, 4:30.
Jay did come to pick up Adnan after track. That part Adnan seems to more or less remember. It was Ramadan, so Adnan would have been fasting all day and hungry.
It probably would have been close to time for me to break fast. He would have came and picked me up, and we would have went to go get something to eat, and then we would have smoked some weed after, right? And then I would have had to have been home by like around 7, 8 o'clock, right? Or usually like the last 10 nights of Ramadan, my father would spend the night at the mosque. So a lot of times I would take him food. Like my mother would make food for him, and I would take it like usually before 8 o'clock, right? Because that's the last evening prayer.
Did you ever leave the campus before the end of track practice? Did you ever
No.
Okay.
No.
You're sure?
I want to say that I'm 99% sure.
Okay.
The reason why I can't say 100 is because, I mean, and I do kind of understand that it comes across as, I don't know if it does or it doesn't, but it seems like I remember things that are beneficial to me, but things that aren't beneficial to me I can't remember. It's just that I don't really know what to say, beyond the fact that a lot of the day that I do remember, it's bits and pieces that comes from what other people have said, that they remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of jogs my memory. Right? Yeah, I don't really know what to say, and I completely understand how that comes across. I mean, the only thing I can say is, man, it was just a normal day to me. There was absolutely nothing abnormal about that day to me.
Adnan knows better than anyone how unhelpful this all is, how problematic, because it plays both ways. If he's innocent, right, it's any other day. Of course he doesn't remember. But you can also read it as, how convenient, he doesn't remember the day. So no one can fact-check him or poke holes in his story, because he has no story.
I definitely understand that someone could look at this and say, oh, man, he must be lying. It's so coincidental that he doesn't remember what he did at this particular time. I mean, I completely understand that, and I get that. That's, like I said, that's the hardest thing I've dealt with for these past 15 years is that if there's nothing tangible I can do to remember that day. It's the truth. There's nothing I can do, to make me remember. I poured through the transcripts. I've looked through the telephone records. I mean, it's just, what else can I do? There's nothing I can do, so it's perhaps I'll never be able to explain it. And it is what it is. If someone believes me or not, I have no control over it.